And we are live. What's good, Charles? Man, doing something. Welcome to the podcast, man. How y'all feeling? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. So we guys had a good weekend. Oh man, I did a quick video on the car today. I was talking about the pathway to the ending the government shutdown. And it's all about Democratic leadership, bro. Check it out. It's like the Democrat leadership needs to go. Chuck Schumer, he needs to step down, or they just talk about AOC taking his Senate seat. You know what? That's a good idea. That's a good idea. But that's not what we are here to talk about today. Today we're gonna talk about some good old fashioned red pill stuff, man. And we're gonna talk about there's a video out there that's been out there for like 9 years, and they're basically talking about hypergamy. Right? That's all they're talking about. But they're talking about it in the blue pill fashion. Hey, but I want to watch this video, guys, and we're gonna watch what they're talking about, what data was put out there, and just kind of point out some things. The blue pill and the red pill doesn't matter which way you attack it. Facts are facts. Data is data. Let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Get some indeed. Thanks for rocking out, man. I appreciate you guys checking me out, man. We're just doing what we do. Man, I'm fairly certain, bro. I'm telling you, YouTube has a naughty list. I do believe in shadow banning, and I am certain that this platform is on that list. This content gets suppressed, bro. It is what it is. I see weird things on my end. When I do stuff, I'm like, what's going on with that? I see weird things in the analytics. Stuff just doesn't move the way it used to move, man. It just and brother Dino Dinosaur, he hit me up today in one of the comments. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, there's some weird stuff going on with your platform. I was trying to do something. I was trying to do this, and it wouldn't let me do it. It wasn't happening, but you can do it on other platforms, but you can't do it on this one. It is what it is. We got brother Mandrill in the building. What's good? Get some indeed, man. My favorite Green Beret, man. Mandrill, man, I still want to get you on here and talk about Venezuela. Bro, real quick. We're not talking about that today, but how close are we to actually going to war in Venezuela, bro? Like, scale of 1 to 10, 10 means, full blown invasion. How close are we to going to war in Venezuela? 0 being ain't never gonna happen, 10 being we're about to jump in. Bro, it's crazy. I appreciate that, man. Joe, like, there's no way your channel isn't bigger than this, bro. I have definitely been shadow banned. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. But you know what? We're just gonna keep pushing through this. At some point, we'll have a show, or we'll jump on something that the algorithm just won't be able to suppress. I think channels like this, your content has to probably break through, because we've had videos to get thousands of views. We've had, I think the most is like 79,000. I think we had a video, we got that many views. But when I look at the other channels, bro, I'm like, come on, man, really? Like, we're barely getting 50 views, 30 views on some of these, lives. That just doesn't jive. Like, I don't understand. I mean, we had 2,200 subscribers. We have people who actually come over here and watch the videos. One day, what we're going to do, I'm going to get like 25 people. The day I'm going to do the show, maybe 50 people. It's like, do me a favor on this day, show up at this time, and just turn your computer on and watch the live stream. Like, you don't have to sit there and watch it, but log in and go there. And I bet you it won't show 25 people. I guarantee it won't, bro. I guarantee it won't. You know what I mean? And I asked Mel about, how close are we going into Venezuela? 0 being it ain't never gonna happen, 10 being we're about to jump in. Mandrill says it's about a 7. And Mandrill's the Green Beret who worked on the teams who may or may not have been in that part of the world. We don't know. You know what I mean? But he knows what's going on, bro. I trust his word. Um, it's crazy. Everything that's going on right now in politics. But we're gonna talk about politics later on. Today we're gonna talk about some red pill stuff, guys. We're gonna talk about um basically hypergamy. Right? We're gonna talk about the economics of dating equals hypergamy. That's the name and that's the title of this stream. But there's a video out there that was posted on YouTube 9 years ago. Who knows how long ago um this, this lecture was given. But it's a guy, definitely from the blue pill world. Like this is a person that's not red pill. They did a book about the economics of dating and basically how women are mate selecting and using colleges. And it's stuff that over here that we all know about. This is stuff we talk about all the time over here. Um, and I just thought it was funny. I saw this, shout out to the Medium Man. He did a video on this, but his take was, hey, men will be monogamous, men are more monogamous. But I watched the entire video. So shout out to Medium Man, first of all. Shout out to him, the Medium Man. He calls himself the Medium Man, but he is a he-man. He's like a big old brother, you know what I mean? Military guy, Air Force guy, very sharp. If you haven't checked out his content, please check it out. We've, broke down some of his stuff over here. We're going to break down some more. He's been asking questions and kind of delving in and out of the manosphere and talking about red pill stuff. So we're definitely going to be, showing some more of his content over here. So if you haven't done so already, check him out, the Medium Man. It's crazy. Like it's crazy that people don't want to accept information if it comes from other folks. Right. It's just crazy. Like, I look at what's going on in the manosphere. It really is a mano swamp. Shout out to Rich Cooper. He talks about this all the time. It's a swamp. It's crazy. The dudes in the manosphere are always fighting each other. I mean, you look at what just went down with Coach Greg Adams and Andrew Wilson. I think that's his name. And they're going back and forth talking about marriage, the free agent lifestyle versus being religiously married, legally married. And they were having this argument. People want to call it a debate, but it was just a shouting match. And I remember when I first saw it, I was just like, man, this is a shame. This is a shame because no one's going to listen because of all the fiery talk that was going back and forth. The mission is to help educate dudes or to get guys to plant seeds to think about stuff. But you're just looking at two dudes scream at each other. And then, it's an older brother and it's a white guy. And so that's always going to lead to some sort of racial talk. I mean, it's just the real message get lost in the sauce. We're going to break that down too. I remember when I first came out, the Poor Man podcast, he had a live when he was breaking it down. And then, of course, everyone else is talking about it. But, the information gets lost in the sauce, man. And that is the saddest thing about the manosphere. It's really a swamp. It really is. When you're trying to help folks and then, people wind up just yelling at folks. They don't want to work together. And this is why men suffer, right? Because women will come together on an issue and fix the issue politically, economically. You know what I mean? Like, they'll try to throw their own morals in there, take care of the community. Women will take care of business. Dudes will come in there and fight. But again, we'll tackle all that at a later date. But I definitely want to show you guys like what's going on with this video, man. Cato Institute. Again, the video's linked in the description below. It's about 30 minutes if you want to watch the whole thing. I'm not sure if we'll get through the whole thing, but we're going to get through a good chunk of it. And man, I'm here to tell you, bro, all they're talking about is female hypergamous natures. Nothing wrong with that. Women wanting the best. And then you talk about male shortages and male surplus. And what happens when there are an abundance of men and how women mate select, and what happens when there aren't a lot of viable men and what women do when they mate select. And I guess they're looking at it from the other side, like, if it's an abundance of women or a lack of women, how that affects the dating world. But it just all boils down to hypergamy, man. That's all it boils down to, and some of it might be an overabundance of choice. So, let's get into this, man. I thought this was a really good video. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, man. I appreciate y'all supporting me during this tough time. They doing why are we on the naughty list and all that kind of stuff. But I got some folks who are gonna, jump on here and help me do some content that it might push us through this band. It might get us to a point where we're being seen. I got, I'm meeting cool people weekly. Like I'm making some real good inroads, and we'll see. We're always gonna do this, no matter what I'm into, no matter what's going on. I might be doing something political, or I might be working on someone's nonprofit, or I might be in someone's think tank, or you might see me, out there in media or something like that on Forbes, or you might see me hopefully one day, you know, uh, doing more print media stuff or whatever the case may be. I'm always going to be here. I'm always going to come back here and talk. You know what I mean? Always. So, appreciate the support. And let's get into this, man. So let's check this. Let's check out this video.
A bit about the book and how I came to write it. The first question that usually comes up is something like this. How the heck did a married 46-year-old financial writer for Fortune magazine, somebody who normally writes about oil and gas or the stock market, how the heck did I end up writing a book about dating? So here's the story. The staff.
Now I'm gonna order his book. His book is called Datonomics. That's the title of the book. So on Amazon, I'm going to order it. I got a couple books I'm reading now, so I'm not going to get it right away. I want to work my way through these couple books I have. I'm working on Too Big to Fail, and I'm also reading 1929, both Aaron Sorkin books. But as soon as I get about halfway through those books, I'm going to order his book Datonomics and check it out. But you just heard what he said. Like, he's just this nerd financial guy. He's writing articles in Fortune. He's doing what he's doing in that world. Like, well, how did I come to write a book about dating? And what I want you guys to pay attention to is look at the two women, the blonde and the brunette, that are flanking this guy to his left and right. Look at them, watch him speak. Like, they're 100% into every word he's saying. Right. And I don't think either one of these women are married to him. But this is a case of a guy being good at something. Bro, you could be good at being a nerd and making money and making your mark, putting a dent in the universe. You're going to have women checking you out. Now, it could just be because they admire you. Right? He's at a network. It seems he's speaking at a network of enlightened women. So, he's speaking to a bunch of women. There's probably going to be some blue pill guys in there, some white knights in there. One of the things I noticed about these conferences that are for women, the guys who normally go there just to show up, these are dudes that are in some woman's friend zone. Or this is a dude who's trying to show women, like, I am with you guys, girl power, yay. But what he's really trying to do, he's trying to get on. This is his play. This is his game. I mean, and it's crazy because women see through it, bro, like glass. It is what it is. Then some dude comes in there and they're like, whoa, oh, who is this? Why is he here? Oh, he's here to speak. And then it's like a whole nother thing. Like, these women just lined up to come talk to you, especially if they believe you're good at what's going on. And if you're there speaking, of course, you're going to be one of the top people. So it just blows me away. I'm like, the lengths that these guys go to try to get the kind of women that they want, or for most of these dudes, just any woman's attention. And it still isn't working. I tell these dudes all the time, like, bro, this ain't the way. You're going to have to get out here, get your confidence up, go out here and really understand female nature and see it for yourself instead of doing this. Like, again, it's a red pill message. And some of the guys, they listen and they learn and they get better. Some of the guys just get mad. But anyway, let's keep going.
Money and Fortune, my last two employers, were disproportionately women. Over time, I couldn't help but notice that most of the men were married, like me, whereas most of the women were single, many of them unhappily single. And a lot of my female friends had these dating histories, these dating stories that just didn't make any sense to me. They would go out with guys who would never call them back, or they had boyfriends who cheated on them unapologetically, or some of them claim never to get asked out on dates at all. And I have one friend from college, a woman who is literally the most attractive person I'm friends with, who can, and she confided in me before, as I was writing the book, that she had not been asked out on a date in 6 months. So as I said, none of this made any sense to me. But at first, I figured this was some kind of a fluke unique to my own circle of friends. I think that the tipping point was a lunch I had with my friend Sarah. Sarah had been dating the same guy for a long time. And while Sarah and I are more work friends than personal friends, it certainly seemed like she and her boyfriend Matt were well on their way to getting married. So before our drinks arrived, I asked Sarah about Matt casually, and her expression basically crumpled. She sighed and told me that she and Matt had just broken up. Matt had informed her that he just wasn't quite ready to settle down. See, here's the thing. Matt, he's 45 years old. He and Sarah had been dating for 3 years. Sarah was 38 years old at the time, and everyone knew that she wanted to get married and have kids. So for Matt to basically run out her clock, to let the relationship drag on for almost 3 years without intending to marry Sarah, it just all seemed kind of cruel.
All right, but whose fault is that? Is that Matt's fault or is that Sarah's fault? Sarah's chasing after the guy that she wants, right? Who is this Matt dude? No one really knows. He didn't really describe Matt, but I guarantee you Matt was probably tall, dark, handsome. He was probably successful, right? Matt was probably living his best life, quote unquote. Isn't that what the young kids are saying? Hey, Matt is a dude who probably got to the finish line, and guess what he found when he got to the finish line? A whole bunch of Sarahs waiting to smash the winner. Red pill talking point. Probably one of the biggest red pill talking points out there. Do the work, man. Get to the finish line. When you get to the finish line, you get the pick of the litter. You can smash the entire litter if you want to. So who is Matt probably going to end up with? Probably a woman in her late 20s. Mid to late 20s. That's probably who he's going to wind up with. He's going to wind up with a younger version of Sarah. Or in other words, he's going to wind up with, you know, the hottie. That's pretty much what dudes want, right? The younger version of Sarah. It's like he wants Sarah when she was in her mid 20s. That's what he wants, and that's what he's going to get. In the meantime, in between time, he going to smash whatever. So is it his fault for running out her clock or wasting her time? Is it his fault or is it her fault for not understanding what was going on from the beginning? You smashed him. You spending your time with him. You doing everything you can to keep him, and it's not working. Why? Because he wants, someone else. And this is one of the things that the red pill tells women all the time. Like, simply because you want to wait till later in life to have kids doesn't mean that the men that you want are gonna want to wait till later in life to have kids. They're gonna do what they want to do. The guys who have access to the vast majority of single women, right? The top tier guys, right? The high value men, the top 20%. And it's not like they wield power that's given to them. Women give them that power. If Sarah really wanted to have a relationship, have kids, start a family, how many men in her life would be more than happy to do that with her? We don't even know. We don't know what Sarah looks like. He said that she was the most attractive friend that he had. So she's probably fine, 38, hot 38. Mean to tell me that she can't get a guy? Stop it. Stop it. How many dudes are in her friend zone? How many dudes did she put in her friend zone when she met the hot dude? I forget his name already. Right? How many, was it Alex? I think it was Alex. How many dudes did Sarah put in her friend zone that she overlooked, that she pushed off to the side because she wants to get the best that she thinks she can get? She wants to get the guy that she believes she deserves. She wants to get the top earner, the guy who's fit, right? The guy who's tall, the guy who's funny, charismatic, right? The guy who can provide experiences. Not that Sarah can't afford her own experiences, but wouldn't it be nice to have a dude to provide those experiences for you that you can share those experiences with? And she's thinking, this is going to be the guy. 3 years? It took her 3 years? Really? It was 2 years of dude vetting her. Let's say she was in the race. 2 years of dude vetting her. And within that 2 year period, dude knew right away, like, she ain't the one, but she's hot, so I'll keep her around. But I'm not going to commit to her. And it doesn't sound like he lied to her. And in the end, she said, oh, well, he broke up with me. So in the end, he was like, okay, I've had enough. Bye, I'm moving on. And he can always circle back to her. This is all red pill stuff, right? But this is coming from the quote unquote blue pill side. This is a dude, he's married. He did what he was supposed to do. He got to the finish line. He got his wife. probably started his family, he's doing his thing. Why would he pay attention to what's going on? He didn't care. But he probably just looked around and he's listening to all these women complain. He's like, what's going on? You know what I mean? I'm a man. I can help you. I'm a problem solver. I'll help you guys figure it out. Right. So that's what's going on here. That's what I'm hearing. Let's continue.
Months later, I shared Sarah's story with Maria Avgatitis, who is a Manhattan matchmaker and dating coach. Maria told me she'd heard some version of this story so often that she'd come up with a moniker for the men. She calls them time thieves.
Oh, boo.
The key thing you need to know about my friend Sarah is that she literally has everything going for her. She's kind, she's funny, she's very good company. She's an Ivy Leaguer who looks like a cable news anchor. Given the amount of time Sarah spends at the gym, I bet you anything she's more fit at 38 than she was at 28. Frankly, I just couldn't figure out why Sarah would have any difficulty convincing Matt that it was time to get married.
Because she wanted the best of the best, and those men get to choose. And for that woman, the matchmaker in Manhattan said, "Oh, these men are called time wasters or whatever." It is not the male's fault. This is how the game works. It's a cold game out there, boys and girls. This is how the game is played, and it's on the women. So you have this woman this guy just said, "Oh man, she's so fit, she's so beautiful, she's so this, she's so that." I bet you she's more fit now than she was when she was 28. Yeah, but she ain't 28. And that's just one of the things that, women especially, they hate hearing that. It's like age means something to men. Youth and beauty is a thing. And you got a guy who's in his mid-40s, bro. If he can pull himself a girl who's in her mid-20s so he can start his family and all that, that's what he's going to do. And the beauty is just part of it. That girl who's 28, that young woman has less negative experiences than the woman at 38. Right? So even right now, you got this whole league of women out there that are like, they can't get the guy that they want. But again, there are plenty of men out there that want to be with this woman. If she's as fine as this guy is saying, how am I supposed to believe that she can't get a guy? Stop it. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
So that's basically how I came up with the idea for the book. I wanted to find out why dating was so difficult for women like Sarah, and also why men like Matt seem to have so many options. Now, I must admit that my theory going into all this was different from where I ended up. Initially, I assumed that this shortage of college-educated men was a phenomenon unique to a handful of big cities like Washington or New York or London or Toronto or LA. I figured there was something about the job markets in these very cosmopolitan cities that attracted disproportionate numbers of women. Well, it turned out that the problem that I call the man deficit is not a big city problem. It's not, or not just a big city problem. It's a nationwide problem. In the US, there are now 5.5 million college-educated women who are aged 22 to 29 versus 4.1 million college-educated men in the same age bracket. Now, pause for a moment and let those, I think you're already pausing, let those numbers sink in. According to the US Census Bureau's American Community Survey, among college grads in their 20s, there are now 5.5 million women versus 4.1 million men.
Which is crazy. Like, so you hear the deficit. He calls it a deficit, right? So right off the rip, just using the college degree as a qualifier, well, it was like over 1 million deficit or whatever. He just threw his numbers out there. It's 1 million less men than women with college degrees, right? So that's the first thing. And then you get into the height and the fitness, and then you get into being funny and and being charming and all that other stuff, right? Being successful. But just to get in the conversation for a lot of women, like, well, you gotta have a college degree. Why? Because I have a college degree. All right, well, all right. It's twice as many women or more that have college degree versus guys who have college degrees. So right away, you got a problem. We got Scam Likely in the building. What's good, fam? How you doing? Again, I think the desire to blame men for this dating dynamic is ridiculous. It's not the men. It's not the fault of the men out there. It's on women, and he's going to continue to prove that case. Remember, this is a blue pill environment. This guy is speaking to a room full of successful women right? This guy broke it all the way down. Like, I just went looking for answers. I want to know why it's so hard for these beautiful, successful women to find themselves a viable mate.
That's 33% more women than men. That's 4 women for every 3 men. And what I found most interesting about the dating math is it's actually worse in rural states. Montana has 52% more college grad women than men among millennials. In Arkansas, it's 49% more female college grads. That compares to 34% more women than men in Washington, D.C. among young college grads, 30% in New York State, and 20% in California. As daunting as this 4-to-3 ratio may be for women, the actual dating math is even worse. Yeah. Mathematically, dating is a bit like the game musical chairs. And if you ever played musical chairs as a kid, you probably recall that in the very first round of musical chairs, it's almost impossible to lose. Basically, you have to be eating paste or chasing butterflies not to get a chair, right? But by the last round of musical chairs, you have a 50% chance of not getting a chair. The longer you stay in the game, the greater your chances are of losing. And in this way, the dating game is similar.
They're laughing, right? But that is a nervous laugh. This dude who is friendly to them and their message or whatever, highly respected, good at something. He's married. He has his kids. Remember, once you find that person you get married, that's when you win. Who's the prize? The man and woman that come together and get married and start a family and stay together. That they are the prize. They are equally the prize. The longer you stay, single. I ain't talking about the people who want to be single. I'm talking about the people who want that marriage and all that. The longer you stay single, the higher the chances you're gonna lose. That musical chair analogy is perfect. Because he's right. At the beginning of the musical chairs, everybody out there's plenty of chairs out there. It's really hard to lose. You do have to kind of be zoned out or something like that. Oh, I couldn't get a chair. But when you get down to the end of the game, ain't no chairs, bro. Ain't no chairs. Everybody's lingering, moving real slow, trying to get in there. People falling down trying to get the chair. That's what's going on with female dating. And it's not because there aren't men out there available. There's plenty of men. They just don't want those men. They want the absolute best they can find. Right? And the college degree and all that, man, that's cool. But I've dealt with a lot of women who had degrees. And a lot of them, they had attitudes. They really thought they were better than and whatever, because I'm trying to do one thing. She's trying to do something else. And at the end of the day, it's like, I have this degree, therefore I should be in charge. Like, you ain't in charge of me. Bye. Bye. Now what? Hey, now what? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me buy you this. I'm sorry. Let me take you here. Let me take you there. Still, it's part of the game. Don't be mad at the dude if he's going to let you try to get back in good graces and he's still going to smash you and bang you out and say, if you really, why don't you go get another girl? Let's do a 3-way and take me here and buy me this. Don't get mad at dude. That's the game. It's a horrible game out there. It's all red pill stuff. That's what these people are talking red pill stuff. And you hear the nervous laughter. All these single women sitting in there, successful women there listening to him is like, damn, he's talking about me.
So just imagine a dating pool that starts out with 40 women and 30 men, which is essentially what's confronting millennials these days. Once half of those women get married, once half of the 40 women get married, the dating pool for the remaining singles becomes 20 women and 10 men.
Damn.
In other words, the ratio of women to men goes from 1.3 to 1 at the start of the dating game to 2 to 1 at the midway point.
Damn.
So that, in a nutshell, is why dating feels so much harder for women at 33 than it did at 23. It's not that you're returning his text message an hour too soon or an hour too late. This is a demographic problem. It is not a strategic problem. Now, just to be completely clear, my message is not that women have to get married at 23, or even that anybody has to get married at all. Personally, I don't care whether people prioritize family over career or career over family. My intention is certainly not to scare young women into believing that they can't have it all, that they can't have a career or a fun personal life without jeopardizing some future hope of marital bliss. My goal is merely to help people make informed life decisions.
And you see, this is the thing. This is the thing. The red pill will tell guys, you will never get a woman, period. Not even, let alone the woman you want. You'll never get a woman if you don't do the work. You'll never get a woman if you don't get in shape, if you don't work on your appearance, if you don't learn how to be social, if you don't learn these things for women to see you. Like, in order to, you would never get there by being a useless nobody living in his mom's basement, dropping fries at whatever local establishment, or being a bar back at somebody's bar or something. It's going to be real difficult for you, homie. That's what the red pill tells guys. Like, man, if you're really trying to get at some women, you're going to have to do the work, period. Only you can do it. But women, this guy is saying, hey, I'm not trying to tell you can't have it all. That's exactly what he's trying to tell them. What he's trying to do is kind of like what I do over here. I'm just going to give you the game. This is how the game is played. This is what it's doing. The game is constantly shifting. This is where it is right now. Do with this information what you will. But he just said, ladies, I'm not saying you got to get married when you're young. I would say, yeah, if you're trying to get the best guy, you can get married when you're young. Make a bet, pick the dude, pick the winner, and get married. If you're in college, don't chase the football player. Don't chase the basketball player. Chase the golf guy. Chase the tech nerds. Chase the guys in engineering school. Place your bet on one of them dudes and stay with that guy. He might not be the tallest. He might not be the most handsome. He might not be the most charismatic, but he's going to love you. And if you're there helping him out, he ain't never going to leave you. But if you're going after the superstar, you're going after the 6'7" quarterback who just won the Heisman, right? Good luck. Good luck. You want to wait till 38 to get him? Okay. Good luck. Right? That's the thing. That's the difference. Women just don't like the harsh message when the numbers come down. He gave them the numbers. They're laughing about it. He's telling them the truth. You're 38 years old. You're making $100, $200, $300,000 a year. I don't care how fine you are. You're going to have a hard time getting that top tier guy. You're going to have a really hard time getting that high value man. Why? Because he's more interested in youth and beauty. He's more interested in really the youth part. If he's going to start a family, he'll start a family with a younger woman. Right? He's not trying to find a woman who can out alpha him. He's not looking for a woman that can, out compete him, in the corporate arena or whatever. He's looking for a woman that's going to have children and hopefully stay home and raise his children and be an asset to him and, watch his six and be there for him and get within his frame and add value, all those sort of things. Why would a woman who's made all his money do that? She's doing her own thing, right? So it boils back to what Rollo Tomassi says, man, women have become the men they want. And I think it was Gloria Steinem who may have said it before Rollo Tomassi, but I heard it from Rollo. Like, women have become the men that they want. And it's like, I need to get, because I'm here, I'm making $500,000 a year. I'm the CEO of this Fortune 200 corporation. So I need a man who's at my level or better. Those dudes don't really exist, do they? There's not a lot of them. It's not a lot of women like hers. Certainly not going to be a lot of men like that. Let's continue.
So if you're a heterosexual woman who puts a high priority on marriage, and I acknowledge that is not everyone, but if that's you, you should be aware that the marriage math will be more challenging should you decide to put off getting serious about dating until your early 30s.
His words are so pretty.
Now, one of my arguments in Datanomics is that the college and post-college hookup culture is largely a byproduct of these lopsided gender ratios. The counter-argument I hear most often from skeptics involves the influence of popular culture or the media. In other words, couldn't it just be the times have changed? Couldn't it be that movies and television and sexually explicit lyrics are what's really behind young people having more sex? Look, I'm not so naive as to believe that pop culture and the media exert zero influence over our behavior. Those of us like me with teenagers are well aware of how actors and athletes and pop stars can influence the way that our kids talk or dress or even think. The problem I have with blaming the media for the hookup culture is based purely on the data. While college kids may be having more sex than ever, it turns out that high school students are having less sex these days, not more.
Boy, I'm so happy to hear that stat. So happy, man, because I had a high school student daughter. I'm like so happy that, boy, those numbers are down, because when I was coming up, bro, like girls were having babies. Girls are high school girls are having babies. Middle school girls are having babies. I was in elementary school and there was a girl there who was pregnant. So that has changed. A lot of that has to do with media. MTV showing these young girls what it's like to be a teenage mom. These girls are watching and talking like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. Trying to have some fun. I've had that conversation with my daughter. And some people are like, oh, that must have been uncomfortable. Like, no, I simply told her, you get pregnant, you have a baby, you live with your mama. You do that, that means you are now grown up. That's your responsibility. Oh, Papa, will you babysit? Maybe if I want to sometimes, but I ain't gonna be sitting around there raising your child while you going out having fun. No, I'm having fun. It's my time to have fun now. If you get pregnant, you decide to have a baby, you're gonna go live with your mom, and then you're gonna figure that out. And people say, oh man, that's so harsh. All right, cool. Right, cool. Be harsh if you want to say it's harsh, but I call it effective because my little girl ain't pregnant.
According to the US Centers for Disease Control, the percentage of teenagers who are sexually active today is lower than it was in 1988, which was the height of the AIDS crisis. So if Hollywood really is trying to promote promiscuity, let's just say Hollywood is doing a terrible job. Now, of course, lopsided gender ratios among college graduates would not matter so much if we were all a bit more open-minded about whom we date and eventually marry. There have been multiple studies on this subject, most recently by Jeremy Greenwood, who's an economist at University of Pennsylvania. And what studies like his have found is a steady decrease in what I call educational intermarriage. In other words, the chances of someone with a college degree marrying somebody without a college degree, those chances are lower today than at any point over the past 50 years. My personal suspicion is that online dating makes this worse. Online dating is a bit like choosing options on a new car. You check off various boxes for your ideal mate: height, weight, race, dog person, cat person, oceans, lake, that kind of thing. For the children of the suburbs, nobody ever thinks twice about checking off that box for college graduate. As a result, few college grads ever even see the dating profiles of single people who lack a college degree. A few weeks ago, I actually got a Twitter message from a woman who told me she met her husband after she unchecked the college education box on her online dating site. Now, it's not fair, but for men refusing to consider working class women doesn't really cost them anything.
It's not that it doesn't cost men anything. Like, men don't care. Men don't care. That's not something that is gonna motivate the average guy. Or you meet the most perfect woman. She's beautiful, right? She's in your age range, the age range that you want. She's into you. She adds value to you. But you don't care if she went to college. You don't care. You know what I mean? If she went Ivy League. Well, I'm not gonna date this woman because she didn't go to Brown. Are you hot? Like, bro, men don't do it the way women do it. We got Miss AKA lady in the building. Always good to see you. We got brother Michael Lee in the building. What's happening, brother? Men don't care about how much a woman makes. He doesn't care about her education. We talk about this all the time. Men don't care about all the extra letters behind her name. Don't really care about the this is my job title. So what? Men don't care. That includes the top tier guys. They care even less. They have all the money. The more money, the more success they have, the less they care about what the woman brings to the table in that sense. Like, why would Elon Musk care about a woman who makes $300,000 a year? He doesn't care. He looks at her the same way as he looks at the chick who's working, at the coffee shop part-time, making $20,000 a year. He doesn't care. What is he looking for? Whatever it is he's looking for. That's what he's looking for. Right? It's whatever it is he's looking for. He gets to choose. Now, the thing with the woman who's making all that money and the woman who's not making all that money, whether the woman is extremely wealthy, whether she's highly educated, whether she's like fat, not in shape, bad attitude, all those women are looking for the same dude. They look at the qualities that all those women are looking, a very few, I say a minority of men have. So it doesn't matter. So women like it. Well, I'm better than her because I'm making more money. No, you're not better than her because you're overweight, maybe slightly obese. You fit into the 70 to 75% of Americans that are like that. I want a woman who's in that 25%. But you're fat too. Yeah, I know I'm fat, but I'm worth $500 billion. Right. So I get to dictate a little bit here. This is what, women are like, well, I'm fit. I'm not fat. I fit into that category. I'm 42 years old. Like, yeah, I'm looking for a 28-year-old or a 32-year-old. That's my cap. So sorry. But yes, I'll smash you. Yes, I'll have fun with you. Yeah, you can come over and do this and then leave. Sure, I'll buy you a tennis bracelet. Sure, I'll fly you on a private jet somewhere to watch a theater, go watch a play. But you're not gonna be my wife. I'm never gonna marry you. And then they'll turn around and say, oh, bad man, he wasted 3 years of her life. He wasted 4 or 5 years of her life. Bro, she wasted that time with him. She tried to get there. She shot her shot. She made her play and failed. How is that his fault? Right? These are the code numbers, right, in dating. And this is what the red pill talks about. Ladies are being forced to listen because especially those women who want to be married. Like, I don't want to sit around the house with my dog and my ferret and my cat. Like, I really want a husband and I want kids and stuff. It's like, well, you're not going to be able to get that guy that you're hoping to get. Shoot your shot. Try to get him. But understand, he's not going to want to settle down with you. But these guys, they're, not in that minority. These other dudes, they'll love to be with you. They'll pedestalize you. They'll do everything they can for you. So what? They don't have a college degree. So what? They're not making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year, but they love you. These are the hard truths, right? These are the numbers, the cold numbers. Yeah. Mike Lee really cares about the hair hat stuff, y'all. He really cares about the weaves and all that kind of crazy stuff, man. And I ain't mad at him. But again, the dudes get to pick, right? The dudes get to choose, especially those dudes in that minority.
The pool of college-educated women is just so vast that men pay no real penalty for refusing to date someone who is less educated than they are.
Which means they don't care.
For college-educated women, however, not expanding their dating pool to include working-class guys carries a high price. Not only are they making it statistically more challenging to find a match, but in doing so, women are giving way too much leverage to college-educated men. Those men know they are in high demand, and a lot of them act accordingly. Over the years, sociologists, psychologists, and economists have done a lot of research on sex ratios and their impact. The findings are really consistent. When men are the ones in oversupply or women in undersupply, depending on your perspective, the dating culture is more likely to emphasize courtship and monogamy and romance. The dating culture is more traditional. Men must make a long-term commitment in order to attract a wife, and thus men actually have an evolutionary incentive to be good husbands and fathers. As a result, monogamy is embraced and divorce is less common. When it comes to studying sex ratios, college campuses are perfect case studies because colleges operate as self-contained dating pools. In other words, students tend to date other students. And while the average college campus these days is 57% female, that's 4 women for every 3 men, there are, of course, still colleges out there that have more men than women. One of them is California Institute of Technology, better known as Caltech, in Pasadena, California. Caltech is 59% male, which is essentially 3 women for every 2 men. I paid a visit to Caltech while researching my book. With the help of the editor of Caltech's student newspaper, I arranged a focus group with a dozen Caltech students. Here's what I learned. At Caltech, hookups aren't even part of the dating vernacular. As one woman told me, the guys are never going to get into a situation where they're hooking up every night because the girls just won't go for it. When Caltech students get involved romantically, it's almost always in the context of a relationship. Students told me it was extremely common for couples who got together freshman year to stay together all 4 years. One young woman told me that when she was a freshman, an advisor in her freshman dorm urged her not to rush into her first college relationship. She told me, "You'll probably end up marrying the guy." On a lark, I asked the Caltech students what Valentine's Day was like there. The answer I got was kind of equally adorable and flabbergasting. One young man told me with tremendous enthusiasm that his dorm, Lloyd House, has a long-standing Valentine's Day tradition. It turns out all the men make handcrafted Valentines for the women, and then they wake up at the crack of dawn to cook the women pancakes. What stories like these so clearly demonstrate is that dating culture truly is more monogamous when women are scarce. After college, one place where you really see this play out is in Silicon Valley, which
I mean, before he gets into that, bro, you hear all of the ahs and oh my God, that's so cute. The boys at college are making handmade Valentine's Day cards, and then they wake up early and make pancakes for the girls. Like these dudes are shooting their shot trying to get these women. Why? Because it's, you got what did they say? It was 3-2. There were 3 women for every 2 guys. I think they said something like that. Okay. Not a, it's not a huge deficit of men. I mean, it's real close. It's Caltech, Pasadena, California. Well, what he's not talking about is these same young girls. Like, yeah, they might end up marrying their college sweethearts and all that, which is great. I have no problem with that. Do it. Go to college, get your degree, get your man. That's how you should do it. Ebony K. Williams was talking about that. Do that, right? And no one does that better than the white girls. White girls go to college. They're there to get their degree and get their guy. They're placing their bet early, and they're those women who want to get married. Meanwhile, like black girls don't do that. I mean, it is what it is. Ebony K. Williams was talking about this. But those same women who are in Pasadena going to college, that's the LA area. Those women have access to LA, to Hollywood, to Santa Monica, Venice, Bel Air, Beverly Hills. Right? Those kids, right? They're going to go out and experiment a little bit. They're going to hit a club or 2 in Hollywood. They're going to go to USC's campus or UCLA's campus. They're going to go over to Cal State Northridge and see what's going on in the Valley. They're going to do these things. They're going to get on the road and go down to San Diego. They're going to get on the road and go up to San Francisco. They're going to go to Chico State, right? Because that's where they be partying at. They're going to get out there and see like, oh, I'm not really feeling these dudes out here. They're going to make some mistakes. You know what I mean? They're going to have a Chad or a Tyrone, some dude who's gamed all the way up, talking right out of them draws. And then they're going to come back to campus and be like, oh, I don't want nothing to do with that life because I got Bobby right here and Bobby ain't doing jack because Bobby don't have the same access. He's not going to be able to go out to these places and get a dime like that. He can't. But the girls can go out and get a hot dude, a 10 guy all day long. And she's probably learned quick, like, oh man, ain't nothing out here in these streets for me. Let me go ahead and lock it. Let me get it locked down with Bobby. Bobby's making me pancakes. Look at this card he created on Valentine's Day. She's like, oh, okay, let me go ahead and do this. Right? Now, if she went to another school where there are even less dudes and more women, she's going to have a hard time locking down Bobby because Bobby's going to realize quick that I got options. And I think he's going to get into this. But this is, again, all red pill talking points. You're just hearing it with a different take, I guess, a different style. And the words are softer so women can absorb it. It's not as harsh, I guess. Whereas the red pills just tell you, like, you're cooked. This guy is saying, hey, you're on your way to being cooked. If this is what you need to do, he's not going to come out and say, yeah, for you women who are like 38 plus, sorry, it's over for you. He ain't saying that. Whereas the red pill, like, yeah, it's over for you. So let's continue.
Which is basically the only well-populated part of the country where young college grad men outnumber young college grad women by a significant margin. Geographically, Santa Clara County, California, is a pretty good proxy for Silicon Valley. The county seat, San Jose, is often referred to as Man Jose by the locals, and with really good reason. Among single college-educated people, 22 to 29, Santa Clara County has 38% more single men than women. And this oversupply of men affects dating and marriage in really predictable ways. Among college grads in their 30s, 78% of the women in Santa Clara County are married. That compares to 48% in Washington, D.C., 58% in Chicago, and 46% in Boston. What's even more interesting is those marriages in Silicon Valley, they're more stable too. Only 4% of Santa Clara County's college grad women aged 30 to 39 are divorced or separated, 4%. Nationally, it's 9%. Men must also make a greater financial commitment when women are scarce. There's an economics professor at MIT, a guy named Joshua Angrist, who studied immigrant communities in the late 1800s and early 1900s, back when immigrants to the US were disproportionately men. What Angrist found was that men needed to earn more in order to attract a wife. The married men earned 10% more than the men who are unmarried. This is just as true today. If there is an undersupply of men in the college-educated dating pool, that obviously means there's an oversupply in the non-college or working-class dating pool. In fact, among Americans aged 22 to 29 who did not have a college degree, there are now 9.4 million single men versus only 7.1 million single women. This woman deficit, so to speak, within the working class plays out exactly how Professor Angrist's research suggests it should. Among non-college men aged 25 to 30 who are fully employed, the ones who are married earn 20% more than the ones who are unmarried. Circling back to Silicon Valley, the reason Santa Clara County has more men, obviously, is because the high-tech industry employs so many engineers and programmers, professions that, for better or for worse, tend to attract more men. Santa Clara County also happens to boast the highest median income of any county in the United States. Now, I'm not going to suggest that median incomes out there would be merely average were it not for the shortage of women. However, I do believe that wealth creation in Silicon Valley has been supercharged by this shortage of women. Listen to what Tom Summit, a tech industry executive recruiter in Boston, listen to the advice that Tom Summit gives to men employed in Boston's high-tech sector. Quote, "Countless venture capitalists, pundits, and most anybody else involved in the Silicon Valley startup scene will ask you, when are you moving out here? This is where it's happening. They want you, they need you, and they will own your butt. Because what they don't tell you is that you will have nothing else to occupy your attention and keeping you from working 80 hours a week, cranking code with your nose in a computer screen. Why? Because there are no women to distract you from your tasks." Another place where you really clearly see the economic impact of too few women is China. As most of you probably know, China's old one-child policy caused an increase in sex selection, abortion, female infanticide, and the foreign adoption of many Chinese girls. All of this present day has created a shortage of marriage-age women. There are now 122 young men in China for every 100 young women. As a result, Chinese women now possess tremendous economic bargaining power when it comes to marriage. That means young men and the parents of boys must accumulate greater wealth in order to impress a potential bride. Two economists, Shang Jinwei, who's a professor at Columbia University, and Xiaobo Chang, who's a senior economist at the International Food Policy Research Institute here in Washington, they have gone so far as to suggest that this pressure on men and on parents of boys to earn more is responsible for 20% of China's GDP growth. It's gotten to the point where a middle-class bachelor must own his own apartment and a new car in order to be considered husband material in China.
Sounds familiar? They're talking about China. That's been going on in America since the beginning. We got Brother Pitney in the building. What's good? Good to see you, man. Good to see you, bro. Hey, Brother Pitney, man, what's up with the CGA and the debate with him and Andrew Wilson, man. What are your thoughts on that? I'm gonna do a video on it. I know I'm late to the party. I remember when I remember when it first hit. I saw it. I'm like, oh man, I should talk about that. Like, oh, I got time. You know what I mean? I got time. Definitely gonna talk about it. Because early on at the very beginning of this video, I was talking about it, but I see you in here. I just wanted to ask you your opinion on that. You know, and Miss AKA has some good points, sis. You know what I mean? Just because you went to college, that doesn't mean you can rub two pennies together successfully. If a woman limits herself to college men only, then she doesn't understand what to look for. Well, I mean, she's moving on emotions or instincts, however you want to put it. It's mostly emotional. Like she's, looking at social media, she's listening to or reading these articles and these op-eds about not settling and all that kind of stuff. And she's like, yeah, I deserve the best. And it's like, bro, that's gonna cloud your thinking. Like, I deserve this, I deserve that. Like, bro. But you're absolutely right. Just because a guy didn't go to college doesn't mean he's good at managing his money, doesn't mean he's gonna be successful. Just means he went to college. Um, it's like, what did you get a degree in? Are you using the degree? How much debt are you juggling for that degree? Don't stop at, are you college educated? Dig deeper, sis. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But for young women, man, society as a whole isn't telling young people this. Right? I mean, it is what it is. And this is where the red pill comes in. The red pill tells guys like, hey man, most women are looking for these things. Right? The degree can easily be overcome with money. I never finished college, but I was making six figures forever, made a lot of money as an air traffic controller. So I only came across one woman who was really talking stuff about a degree. She was talking crazy and I was laughing at her. And I'm like, well, when you make as much as me, we can sit down and have this conversation. I basically told her to shut up. Like, you talking about all this stuff, you got all these degrees, and what are you doing? You're selling cigarettes. Fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like, please, bye. Run along now. Right? That's the mentality. Like, you go, well, I have a degree. Like, okay, or who paid for that degree? How much you own that degree? Going back to school. I came across so many women like, I'm going back to school. And it's always like, well, why are you going back to school? Because they can't afford to pay the college loans back, so they go back to school so they can defer the payments. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. And Brother Pitts, that answered my question. Is like, man, they went at it, but they are operating from different premises. CGA teaches men to adapt to the way things are. Andrews was proposing ideas that require society to be radically overhauled. And you're right. Like, Andrew Wilson talks about, getting married through the church, and that's going to save everything, God, religion. That's what's going to, let's take it back to the 1700s. And CJ was like, man, you high. Like, you high. Well, just get married. Everyone gets married by the church and that fixes the problem. How is that going to stop, legal divorce? How's that going to stop family court? How's it going to stop, Title 4D? How's that going to stop, the laws? So, yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that, bro. We're definitely going to talk about that debate, that argument, that shouting match. Hopefully later on in the week, I want to talk about it because what Andrew Wilson is talking about, man, is madness. I would line up with CGA on that, bro. Like, just understand the rules, move accordingly. Don't get yourself caught up. That's what that's what we teaching over here. And back to what we're talking about, Miss AKA lady, she's like, exactly. I'll take a financially stable man over a degreed man that's struggling any day. Yeah, it makes sense. That makes sense. But it's not just a degree. Like, the women want it all, man. Brand new socks and drawers, man. They want it all. They want it all. They want the best of the best, foregoing everyone else. That's the problem. That's what this brother is talking about. He's just using different words. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, Coach Greg Adams was definitely the most pragmatic. This is Shaw reacted to the debate last Saturday. Excellent video. I'm going to do the same thing. I was actually driving. I was checking that out. Shout out to This is Shaw, man. That dude is doing really good. I'm so glad that he's not shadow banned. It'll be like this. He's not shadow banned like me. I'm trying to hit the right. Here we go. Shout out to this is here to tell y'all, man, being shadow banned sucks. Sucks. I think the algorithm just kind of restricts, and just does its best to keep your content from getting out there, bro. It just sucks. And maybe it just does like a percentage, but any percentage on my platform is really gonna hurt. I mean, if you can restrict 5% of views on Fresh and Fit, I mean, they get millions of views. That's not gonna really hurt that much. But you restrict 5% of my views, that really hurts. But let's get back to the video.
A story in the LA Times contained this quote from one Chinese bachelorette. "I would rather cry in a BMW than smile on the back of my boyfriend's bicycle."
There it is.
A more recent story from Bloomberg News contained this even more amazing comment from a young Chinese husband expecting his first child. "I would hope it's a girl," he said, "because boys are too expensive." Now, that is an unbelievable statement when you consider the way Chinese culture has glorified boy babies going back almost 1,000 years. Okay, so now we know what happens when women are scarce. Let's look at what happens when men are scarce, which is the current situation today among college students and college grad millennials.
And when he's saying men are scarce, he's talking about a certain type of man. Like, because again, remember, they're talking about men with degrees, but men are scarce. The type of man that women want are scarce. So they're having these problems. Why are they having these problems? Because there are plenty of men out there. They're having these problems because they want a certain type of man. This is like 80% of the red pill argument. So let's listen to this.
Sociologists and psychologists who study sex ratios have found that when sex ratios skew female, the whole dating culture becomes more sexualized. The good news, according to clinical sex surveys, is that everyone seems to have better sex. And yes, this apparently applies to married folks too. Clinical sex studies show that when gender ratios skew female, couples engage in more foreplay, more experimentation, and have more frequent intercourse. The bad news for single women is that the single men are in no rush to settle down.
Facts.
Marriage rates decline, divorce rates go up, and out-of-wedlock births become more commonplace.
That's where we are.
As I said before, one of my core arguments is that today's hookup culture is largely a byproduct of gender ratios, and not Tinder, not MTV, or any of the other explanations that some people glom onto. I know that Vanity Fair story on Tinder generated a lot of buzz, but my take was that story was just unbelievably naive. Tinder is less than 4 years old. The hookup culture was alive and well long before Tinder arrived. There's actually a rather long and ridiculous history of folks mistakenly blaming the latest new technology for a rise in sexual permissiveness. In the 1920s, for example, people blamed the automobile for the rise of the flapper generation. "A house of prostitution on wheels," is how one state court judge described it. The real explanation for the loosening of sexual mores had nothing to do with the automobile. Some 10 million young men died during World War I. Another 20 million were injured, many of them grievously. This created an incredibly lopsided dating market after World War I ended. I don't know if any of you have read Irene Nemirovsky's novel, The Fires of Autumn. Nemirovsky came of age in 1920s France. And The Fires of Autumn reflects the social sensibilities of that era. In her novel, a young war widow named Therese thinks she is being courted for marriage by her childhood friend Bernard, only to discover that he wants nothing more than a fling. Bernard, in turn, is baffled by Therese's unwillingness to carry on a casual affair. Given the shortage of young men in post-World War I Europe, Bernard cannot understand why any bachelor would want to settle down. "You want to have some fun?" he asked Therese rhetorically. "Fine. You don't? Goodbye. There are too many women, and they're all too easy to make it worthwhile."
Bro, that was that story. What do you say? That was the story centered around the 1920s? This ain't new. Like Brother Penny said, man. You know what I mean? This ain't new. You know what I mean? Social media was just kerosene on the fire. Technology, like dude was saying about the cars. They're like, oh, because of these cars, I mean, these kids are out here smashing left and right. You know what I mean? It's like a brothel on wheels. It's like, nah, it's just new technology gives them a little bit more freedom. You know what I mean? Social media just gives women a little bit more freedom, and it gives them um, you know, the impression that there's unlimited men out there. They really believe that. Like there's so many men. Like literally millions and millions of guys that they have access to. So they get smashed by some dude who has title or has money, and they believe that's what I deserve. Now this is where I'm at. I'm there, and it's like the alpha widow thing. It's like I'm not gonna settle for anything less than this. Meanwhile, it's just like he was just having fun. Like, look, you can smash or you can go back home because you know what I mean. Shelly over there or Chrissy over there, or you know what I mean, Sharika, they ready to get down. And they ready to get down now. You over here talking this madness, man. Matter of fact, I'm gonna holler at you later. That's the game. That's the guess what people have been screaming. We've been screaming that to everyone. That's what the red pill talks about. I mean, it is what it is. And this is not new. This has been going around forever. It's always been the case. The guy who has more resources, the guy who has more access to resources, the guy who's has social proof, that's the guy that's gonna have more women. Period. And he gets to choose what he's gonna do. He can marry one and keep the rest, or however he's gonna do it, but he gets to choose. And that's driven by women. And the thing is this, it's not like World War I or World War II where we've lost tens of millions of men. Men are here. They just don't see these men. Most women in America believe that the vast majority of men are not, socially or economically viable mates. And that's what Professor Scott Galloway talks about. And they simply overlook these dudes. And it's like, look, you're a 5, he's a 5, and you're refusing to deal with him. So you're gonna go up here and deal with, a 9 or a 10, even though the 9 or 10 is not gonna keep you. And then you're gonna turn around and blame men. Nah, you gotta own that on your own, sis. You chose to put yourself in that situation. You chose to get your back blown out in the nightclub or in the car or whatever. You chose that. Now you chose like, all right, let's jump out of the car and get behind this tree real quick and let me smash real quick. You chose to let that happen. It's not the guy's fault. Yeah, it's not his fault at all.
Time on college campuses as I have, and you'll find a lot of men who sound an awful lot like Bernard. Women at disproportionately female schools talk openly about their frustrations. Everyone's self-esteem takes a hit, a young woman at 75% female Sarah Lawrence College told me. This young woman complained to me that the men of Sarah Lawrence have little interest in exclusive relationships. Why would they, she told me. It's like they have their own free harem. She continued, one of my friends was dumped by a guy after they'd been hooking up for less than a week. When he broke up with her, the guy actually used the word market, like the market for him was just too good. A male Sarah Lawrence student I interviewed shared a similar assessment, although he wasn't really bemoaning Sarah Lawrence's hookup culture, he was essentially celebrating it. He told me there really isn't a culture of monogamy or even dating here. Sometimes it feels like you can have anyone you want. Now, to be clear, this guy was no Tom Brady. I mean, he kind of looked like John Lennon circa 1970, except even more malnourished. Yet his stories were just so, shall we say, colorful, that at one point I blurted out and I just had to ask him how many of his current female friends he'd had sex with, just his current ones. Oh, I'd say at least 20, he told me. Yeah, that was my reaction too, and he saw that and he added a little qualifier just to take the edge off it. He told me, you should know that includes some threesomes and foursomes.
Ah!
The gender ratio at Sarah Lawrence is particularly extreme. It's 3 women for every 1 man. But in terms of the dating culture, it's not as much of an outlier as you'd think.
And you think about it, in a situation like that, how much game do you need to get on with women? Damn near zero. The fact that you're there, you're good to go. Women are competing for you. So almost any dude, like they describe some dude like, yeah, the dude's not even handsome, he's not even attractive or whatever. But he's like, yeah, I got 20 bodies. I'm having threesomes and foursomes. It's like, bro, I'm getting it in. Laugh if you want to. So if you got a guy who just like looks are average at best, he's not a big, strong guy. He's not like the captain of the football team. He's not, going to the league. This is a regular dude who has like that much game, 20 women, right? And he still ain't. And look, he's like, he's having 2 or 3 girls with him at the same time in one sitting. So he's like, he's with 20 women, but how many dudes are these women with? His numbers ain't approaching their numbers. Because remember, they can leave campus and still go do what they're gonna do. Right. So this is what people are talking about. This is why I don't really care about body count. Like, man, look, I know, especially if a woman went to college, I don't even want to talk about all that. I don't care about body count, bro. She did what she did. It is what it is.
In the appendix of Datanomics, I include a table that ranks 35 major public and private colleges by their gender ratios, and then pairs that data with students' own description of dating life at their schools. The descriptions are courtesy of niche.com, which is a college review website that's authored entirely by students. So here's what Niche had to say about some schools that are 60% or more women. At 50% female Boston University, quote, freshman year is a sexual explosion. There are girls to go around and around again. At 61% female New York University, quote, guys take advantage of the male to female ratio and most have no plans of settling into a long-term relationship. Closer to Washington, 63% female James Madison University, quote, the deficiency of guys creates a scene that tends to embrace random hookups. Even at Baylor University, a Baptist school steeped in Christian values, Baylor's ratio of 3 women for every 2 men still has a big impact. According to niche.com's write-up of dating at Baylor, quote, the same girls that run in the social hookup circles on Friday night are taking you to church with them on Sunday. The guys practice the requisite Christian business principles, but blow through the Baylor babes that are an endless supply.
Bro, this is when we talk about church. People ask me, hey man, you go to church? I'm like, nope, I stay away from it because it's too easy. Like the women in church, bro, they're out doing their thing, Monday through Saturday. They getting it in. And then they in church on Sunday. And then you got that thing going on within the church. These dudes are smashing multiple girls, right? It's crazy because just there are no men in the church. And a lot of the men that are in the church, they're gay. So there are not a lot of viable, available men in the church. This is why the preachers and the leaders of the church, like the deacons and all that kind of stuff, the people who lead the choir and all leadership, these dudes are just killing it. They got women just throwing themselves at these guys. Right. And it is what it is. Right. Baylor Christian Church, doesn't matter. Same things going on at BYU, at Brigham Young, same things going on out there, bro. These are young kids. And these girls want to get on. And the guys are there just like, cool. Again, don't need much game. You hardly need any game at all. These girls going to come up to you. They're going to talk to you. Don't believe me? Go to a college campus. Go to an event at a college campus. Go to the political event. Go to a political event. See how many women come up to you. Right? It's insane. Let's check it. Let's continue.
Another 60-40 college is UNC Chapel Hill. A few years ago, the New York Times wrote a story about the shortage of men at University of North Carolina. The story contained this quote from a female UNC undergrad. Quote, a lot of my friends will meet someone and go home for the night and just hope for the best the next day. They'll text them and say, I had a great time, want to hang out next week, and they don't respond. Even worse, girls feel pressured to do more than they're comfortable with just to lock it down. By comparison, the college dating scene is much more traditional at schools that are either majority male or at least have gender ratios closer to 50-50. I already told you about Caltech. Here's what niche.com has to say about Georgia Tech, which is 66% male. Tech is a fairly monogamous campus, and people like to be in a relationship. How about Tufts University, which is 50-50 thanks to a big engineering program? According to niche.com, at Tufts, quote, halfway through sophomore year, people begin to pair off and generally stay paired off through junior and senior year. Or consider University of Miami. Yes, it's a notorious party school, but it's one that's only 53% female. Remember, the average is 57%. According to Niche, quote, random hookups are common in the beginning, but after a few months or a year, relationships take over.
And keep in mind, they're talking about University of Miami, man, or FIU or Miami-Dade College. On the campus, they'll have themselves a relationship, but they're going off campus and they're doing their thing. Like, girls that go to the U, man, they're all over South Beach. They're all over Brickell. They're all over Wynwood. They're all through Coconut Grove. You know what I mean? All through Coral Gables. They're everywhere, man. And they're doing their thing. So yeah, they'll have their campus boyfriend, but then they'll have their hookup dudes just off campus. Right. And another thing too, you guys notice how when there's a shortage of viable men, what do women use? They use sex. They use sex. And guys are gonna take that. You know what I mean? It like so again, it to sit there and point the finger at men is like, oh, how dare you, man? You're taking advantage of these poor girls. Like, nah, these women are doing what they're doing. They're trying to lock a guy down. They'll try everything they possibly can, and then they just go to sex. Or they'll lead with sex. Like these dudes who don't have any game lead with their wallet. They get the same outcome. The guys who lead with their wallet, they wind up getting their face cracked. The women who lead with sex, they wind up getting their face cracked. That's just how it works. That's just how it works. Right. And this is us hearing it from the blue pill side of the aisle.
It isn't just the dating culture that changes when women are in oversupply. Sex ratios can have economic and even political impacts too. Just as men earn more when women are scarce, women become more career-minded when it's the men who are scarce. Christina Durante, who's a marketing professor at Rutgers Business School, Durante conducted a series of psychological experiments in which young single women were presented with information that caused them to believe that their local dating market either had too few men or too many men. The study participants were asked which was more important to them. After the initial stage, they were asked which is more important to them, career or family. Durante found that the women who thought that there were too many men were more likely to prioritize family, whereas the women who thought there were too many women were more likely to prioritize career. Durante concluded that sex ratios, quote, lead women to seek more lucrative careers when it will be more difficult to secure a mate. As I said, there can be a political impact too. The pioneering book on sex ratios, titled Too Many Women, was the brainchild of the late Marcia Gutentag, a psychology professor at Harvard University who died prematurely at age 44 in 1977. She died before she finished the book, but Too Many Women was completed and co-authored by Paul Secord, Gutentag's second husband and a fellow academic. As counterintuitive as it may sound, Gutentag and Secord conclude that feminist movements are energized when men are in short supply. Here's what they wrote. What we are suggesting in answer to the sex ratio question is that given the abundance of unattached women, men will shape to their advantage the form that relationships between men and women take. With a surplus of women, sexual freedoms are more advantageous to men than to women. These circumstances should impel women to seek more power and incidentally turn them towards meeting their own needs. Most forms of feminism are directed to just such ends. On college campuses, the surge in feminist activity has been fueled by growing concerns about sexual assault. I believe these concerns are very real, but I also believe that lopsided gender ratios are part of the problem. Another one of Marcia Gutentag's counterintuitive sounding findings in Too Many Women was that throughout history, when ratios of women to men were high, rape was more prevalent and it was also punished less severely. More recently, sociologists and criminologists have studied FBI and Interpol crime data and reached the same conclusion. In the words of University of Oregon sociologist Robert O'Brien, elevated rates of sexual assault, quote, are a predictable feature of countries with a relative scarcity of men.
And bro, we'll probably get ratio to demonetized because of the words he used. But it's just you can't have grown up conversations on YouTube. And if you do, and you're someone like me or this platform, I guarantee they come after us. Oh, you got these words. You said you said the grape word. But you can hear the big platforms can say whatever they want to say. Yeah, it is what it is. But what he's saying makes a lot of sense. And it's like, again, historically, we had all these world wars. We had, we had a real male shortage because men were, dropping off, like, going off to war and getting deleted. And men were, doing whatever. There was a real shortage of men. Today, there's no real shortage of men. There's, people say there's a shortage. There are no good men. There's a shortage of viable mates, right? This is what women believe, right? The kind of guy that they want, there doesn't seem to be a lot of those men who are making a bunch of money, men who, are tall, men who are in shape and blah, blah, blah. Y'all know the stuff that we always talking about. Just based on height alone, women are looking, at 15% of men, disregarding 85% of the population right off rip. They exist, right? And then when you add the financial component and all the other stuff, you see that what women are looking for, like, is a very, very small select group of men. But the other guys are there. It's not like we've been, off saving the world from dictators or whatever and fighting these major wars. Men are here. They just don't like the men that they see. And that's leading them to act as if there is a shortage, and they're doing things like they'll meet a guy, do whatever they got to do to be around that guy, and even to allude to stuff like, well, I'll do this or maybe I'll do that. And then they do it, and then the guy dumps them, and then they get mad and they're like, I'm calling the authorities. Now I'm taking back my consent. I did consent, but now I'm taking it back because you didn't make me your girlfriend. So I'm going to try to get you locked up. Or I'm gonna try to get your money like that one girl did to the Major League Baseball guy, that Bauer dude. Like, she just set him up from the beginning, just trying to get money. And she did. She walked away with a few $100,000. He lost tens of millions of dollars and nothing happened to her. So that is definitely a thing. And Brother Penny saying, sadly, the grape and SA statistics make sense. Men tend to police other men. Too few men equal nobody is guarding the gates. Good point, bro. Good point. I feel that. And then you have this situation where young boys don't have any male leadership, and there's no one, like Brother Penny just said, there guiding these young boys to help them become men. Something we're working on, something I'm working on. That's what the Red Pill is all about. We want to just help these dudes. So these young guys start talking. You can tell them what to expect. Nah, man, just do this. Don't do that. Let these young guys know, like, hey, man, you're a top tier dude. You know a little bit about game. You get to pick, man. Be careful who you choose. Make sure you got cameras. Make sure you got witnesses. You never know how this is going to turn out. And then they get into a situation and like, oh, thanks, Unc. I appreciate that because she almost had me, but I was thinking about what you said. Right there. And then, there's just no men out there to guide and develop the young boys. But I think that's going to change. Scott Galloway is all over it. The Manosphere is all over it. So this dude right here, whoever he is, he's kind of loosely referring to it. Let's continue.
The opposite is true of countries with a relative scarcity of women. Columbia University economics professor Lena Edlund investigated the impact of lopsided sex ratios in China, where young men now outnumber women by 20%. Edlund and her co-authors discovered that although overall crime rates went up in China as the gender ratio skewed more male, that's not surprising given that men are more prone to criminality, there was a significant decline in sexual assault. It seems that men treat women better and protect them more when women are in shorter supply.
And that's what Brother Pitney just said. Shout out to you, bro.
Now, can I prove beyond all doubt that such findings apply to college campuses, that sexual assault is less common at schools that are at least 50% male? No, I cannot, because the available data tends to reveal as much about how forthright colleges are in handling sexual assaults and how comfortable women feel coming forward as it does about the actual frequency of assaults on a particular campus. That said, I was intrigued by a recent Washington Post story on this topic. The article ranked 27 colleges by their sexual assault rates, and I could not help but notice which college had the lowest rate. It was Caltech, a school that is 59% male. So thank you all for listening, and I look forward to taking questions.
Yo, that was fire. That was fire.
Another issue.
That was fire. Shout out to them. I know I like breaking points. Algorithm pulled up my favorite show. Yeah, shout out to old boy, man, in this talk, man, this TED talk or whatever that was. That was a peek into the blue pill world using nice words and soft words and talking to a lot of women and basically talking about hypergamy. That's how I take that. Dude's just letting them know, like, hey, ladies, what he didn't say the things that I was saying. There are plenty of men out there. He didn't go into that, right? There are plenty of dudes out there. Women are choosing certain guys, which has created an artificial male shortage, and they don't like the outcome. Simple as that. When you got a big group of women going after a small group of men, those men are going to have the time of their life. Red pill 101. So what do we talk about here in the red pill? Hey, y'all, you invisible dudes, you bottom 80 guys, whatever you want to call them, you got to get in that group. You got to do the work and become viable. You got to do the work. Work on your money, work on your game, work on your frame, work on your body, work on your looks, work on your style, learn how to talk, learn how to be funny. You got to get yourself into that group. You have to be one of the guys that is accepted by the small group of dudes, and you know how to talk to women. And guess what? Women will see you then and they will fall into your orbit, and you're going to be all right. You're going to be able to choose to do whatever it is you want to do. If you just want to smash, you're going to be in a position where you can do that. If you're looking to find a wife, you're going to be in a better position to do that, having seen how women operate and getting a good look at female nature. Right? It is what it is. Dudes who have game, dudes around here, guys know women flake all the time. You might meet a woman on Monday who's all down to do something, and on Tuesday, she don't know you. That's part of the game. Come Thursday, she might be down again. You just don't know. Right? And I tell dudes, like, man, you can't take this personal, right? Control your emotions and you'll be all right. If you let your emotions out, bro, prematurely, then you're going to suffer, right? These are red pill talking points. And as for women, it's like, I tell women, like, find a dude on your level. Baby, we all can't be 10s. And when women sit around, we're all 10s. No, you're not. We all can't be 10s. You guys know you're not 10s, right? So get in where you fit in. You better find a dude that's at your level, right? And again, on a scale of 0 to 10, most of us fit between 4 and 6. There's a lot of people in that 4 to 6 zone. Find one. If you can manage to lock down a dude who's a 7 through 10, great. Good for you. But all the women ain't gonna be able to do that. And locking a dude down and having sex with that dude are two separate things. The top tier guys will have sex with you. The women who rate real high, like the dimes, the 7, 8, 9s, and 10s on the female side, they're not gonna just let any old body smash. You're gonna have to be in a certain group, a certain cohort to get that kind of access. That doesn't mean you have to be rich, doesn't mean you have to be tall, doesn't mean you have to be fit, doesn't mean you have to. Nah, all those things help. But if you're a dude that has some game, that understands what's going on, that can make her laugh, hey, bro, you got a shot. You got a shot. That's the difference between the female game and the male game. That's the difference. And then when it comes down to actually locking someone down, if you're that guy, you might have a shot to lock her down. A lot of people say, man, this dude don't have no money. Ain't no way he can get himself a beautiful, wealthy woman. Yes, he can. Remember that 38-year-old woman? What was her name? Sally, that he was talking about at the beginning of that video. 38 years old, successful, has all this money, all this kind of stuff. At some point, she's going to really want to, I need to get a guy. At some point, she's going to realize, okay, that's it. I'm not going after these, high value, top tier men anymore. I'm done with that. So who is she going to get? She's going to get a guy who's handsome and fit and cares about her with no game. Because the top tier guys, remember, I consider the top tier guys the dudes who have maybe 4 or 5 out of the categories that make you high value. They got some of the high value boxes checked, but not all, but they're really good at talking to women, and women see them and women are attracted to them. Those are the high value guys, the top tier guys. I'm correction. Those are the top tier guys. The high value guys are the guys who have the money and check all the boxes. So you got those guys at the very top, and then just below them, you have the dudes who get a lot of access from women who got their game, together, whatever that game is, and they know how to talk to women. I lump them all together at the top, right? Those are the dudes that make up that minority that women search after and chase after and all that. But then just below that, you have a dude who just, you know, done his thing, is working hard, built his business, or is, been with the company forever. It's doing good. Might be making $65,000 to $85,000 a year, so he's well above the median. He's a good guy, but he doesn't have any game. He ain't out there. No one knows him. He has no social standing. That woman might come across him and like, man, this dude loves me. He made me a Valentine's Day card from scratch, a homemade Valentine's Day card. He prepared pancakes for me on Valentine's Day for breakfast. He cares about me. He listens to me. And she realized, like, you know what? I couldn't lock down one of those high value guys. Hell, I couldn't even get the top tier dude, but let me get this guy because he makes me happy and I make enough money to where we can have experiences. I'm just going to have to pay for it. Now, once women get over that part, I think it's fine. When a woman truly loves you, she will have no problem spending her money on you. Once she gets to that part, she's into you. She loves you. You love her. She doesn't have a problem providing for those experiences, right? The only problem in that situation is that hypergamy is still there, right? And if she doesn't believe that the guy she with is the absolute best guy that she can get, and she really loves this guy, if she really thinks that there may be hope that she can get one of these high value dudes and the opportunity presents herself, she might take it. That's the red pill message. And that's what we tell these dudes. Be careful. Be careful, man. It could happen, right? We know the divorce stats and all that kind of stuff, man. It could happen. So that's it. That's all I got, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I just thought that video was amazing. You know what I mean? Just to listen to the other side, just to hear the mainstream take on hypergamy. I thought that was great. If you guys think I'm wrong, if you think he's not talking about hypergamy, or if you think it is the man's fault for taking advantage of his status and, becoming the best of the best and doing the work, let me know in the comments below. It's not like I don't agree with that, but hey, that's what you believe. Let me know in the comment below. And later on this week, we're gonna definitely be talking some more politics. Man, I would definitely. I'm just gonna leave it there. Because it looks like that we're headed to the end of the government shutdown, so we'll probably be talking about that tomorrow. Definitely gonna cover that Coach Greg Adams and Andrew Wilson debate, argument, whatever you want to call it, and we're gonna keep talking about red pill stuff, man, and politics and everything else. So hope you guys enjoyed it, man. Thanks for rocking out with me, man. Appreciate it. Brother Pittman, it's good seeing you. I ain't seen you in a minute, man. I'm so glad you popped in. Miss AKA Lady, same to you. Everyone else, all the day ones, everyone, man. Appreciate y'all rocking out with me. I'm DL Saint. This is That Really Want to Know I Really Want to Know podcast. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm gonna see y'all soon, man. Be talking to y'all tomorrow. Hey, check out that video I did about Chuck Schumer. I did it in my car. Let me know. I think the title of the video is "Fire This Guy Now" or something like that. Let me know what you guys think. All right, I'm gonna talk to y'all later. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.
Thanks for watching my video. And if you enjoyed that, don't be afraid to comment, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, because every little bit helps. We're trying to grow. We're small over here. We really appreciate your time. And if you enjoyed that video, YouTube thinks you will enjoy this video or maybe that one. Either way, we'll see you soon. Peace.